Surprising, but if you like it, it can be yours for $300,000. Hey guys, my name is G.P.S. and welcome back to my channel. A few months ago, I did a review on some of the least expensive Hermes pieces, so I thought it's about time we do a follow-up video by doing the exact opposite and checking out some of the most expensive Hermes pieces that they're currently selling online and kind of decide together whether they're worth the money or not. So if you want to hear my thoughts and review of some of the most extortionately priced Hermes pieces, then please keep on watching. Okay, so I just jumped on to the American Hermes website, and the reason why we always use the US site instead of, let's say, the French one is because, to be really honest with you, it's always the US side that has the biggest selection online. They're usually not the first to receive new launches, but when it comes to selection and the amount of pieces that you can buy online, they are the best. And I'm not sure if that's because the North American Hermes division has a completely different strategy than some other regions. Perhaps they put more emphasis and focus on their online retail. That's how it seems like to me, and obviously Hermes has different CEOs in different parts of the world, so perhaps the one in North America feels that online retail is better for the brand. So that's the reason why I always use the US side. And I have not been on the website in a couple of days, so I have no idea what's going to be the most expensive piece that we find here. What I thought is that we're going to go into different categories and just sort the pieces by high to low in terms of price and see what we find. Hopefully I'll be familiar with most of the pieces so I can give you an accurate review. And if I'm not, we'll become familiar with these pieces together for the first time. But hopefully I have something to say about them, and hopefully I've had a chance to either try them on or play around with them in person. So I think let's jump into it. Here we go. So let's start with, should we start with bags or small leather goods? Maybe let's do small leather goods first. And what I'm thinking, maybe, do you guys want me to guess what I think the most expensive piece is going to be in each category before we go into it? Maybe let's do that. I might be completely off because I don't know what they currently have online. I assume they don't have too much stock left because obviously of the holiday season. And I assume because most stores are again having trouble staying open, I assume most people likely went to the online boutique to buy pieces. So I have no idea how this video is going to turn out. But when it comes to SLGs or small leather goods, I think the most expensive piece will likely be either a wallet on chain, so one of our Hermes takes on wallet on chains. If they have the Kelly or the Constance to go of wallet on chain in exotic, I think that's going to be the most expensive. By far, the most expensive piece is going to be an exotic piece. So it's either going to be a Constance or Kelly to go if they have it currently online, or it might be maybe a Constance or a regular Kelly wallet in exotic skin. So I would say it's probably going to be either a piece from the Kelly or the Constance line in exotic skin, either in matte or shiny alligator. So let's go and see if I was right. Okay, so let's sort it from highest price to the lowest. And I was wrong. The most expensive pieces on the Hermes website when it comes to small leather goods are neither a Constance nor a Kelly wallet. Instead, they are the so-called Jige dual wallets. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to review the full top line in each category because I assume we'll have some repetition of different products in different colors. But let's start with the Jige dual wallet, which in case you're not familiar with this entire family of bags, obviously this is from the same family as the infamous Jige Ellen clutch, which I have several videos on. So if you want to hear my full-on review of the clutch bag, make sure to have that linked up here. But the Jige Ellen wallet is from the exact same line. And long story short, this creation was born, I believe, in 1975, definitely in the 1970s. And it was developed on behalf of the Hermes family for someone who was marrying into the family. So they created the Jige line and the Jige design, which has become one of, I think, the most iconic pieces that Hermes creates to this day. And throughout the years, it has been reinvented time and time again. It's been available in different sizes and shapes. Obviously, the most famous, the one that is still in production, is the Jige clutch bag. But Hermes also created in a wallet version, which you can pick up in exotic skin for $20,200 in case you want to. Now, the reason why I think this piece is so incredibly expensive is because this is not just a larger wallet, which you can absolutely use on its own as a clutch bag, but it also comes with a removable pouch on the inside, which has a pretty good construction to it. It's definitely something that I could see Hermes selling on its own in their men's line. And I think that's kind of the reason why the price is so high on this, because you're essentially getting two pieces in one. Do I think it's worth it or not? I personally don't think it is, just because if you love the GGLN clutch, you'll most likely go for the GGLN. If you wanted to buy something smaller that is like this, I would much rather recommend that you go for the Constance Wallet in exotic skin, which would be about $5,000 less expensive. The Constance Wallet in exotic skin starts at about $15,000. So personally, I would say that the Constance Wallet is a better purchase than this. And the next piece we're going to move on to is the Hermes Cinethic to-go wallet, which is a to-go wallet, meaning that it comes with a removable shoulder strap, but at the end of the day, this is a wallet. And it is from the Cinethic line, which is a relatively new addition to the Hermes portfolio. I would say it's been around for about 3-4 years at this point. Don't quote me on that, but that's my hunch. The line itself, the name comes from the fact that they were inspired by kinetic art. And it is a really, really unique addition to the Hermes family. I find that most details and features are not necessarily very Hermes-like. But if you see a piece and you want to kind of make sure that it is from the synthetic range, there are two characteristics that I would recommend that you look out for. Number one is obviously the really sophisticated and unique hardware that it comes with, which obviously it looks like an H. Although I have heard some people say that it reminds them of the keyboard of a piano, which I can definitely see, but to me it just looks like an H. Sort of a deformed and kind of stretched and pulled H, but it does look like an H. And then most pieces in this line, I believe there are, let's go through them. So there is a trunk bag that comes with a chain, which is very unique to Hermes. There is a clutch bag. There is the regular to-go wallet. And then there's also a compact, a smaller wallet that comes with a little mirror inside. So there are, how many is that? 4? There are about 4 pieces in this line. And every single one of them has this really interesting, sharp and kind of boxy square shape and design to it. And that's because this entire line was inspired by vanity bags and trunks, which is quite interesting for Hermes to do something like that, considering that trunk making is really not a huge part of their heritage. It might be something that they did at one point, but it's not like they're Louis Vuitton or Goyard, both of which are brands that rely on their trunk making heritage year after year. So it's interesting that Hermes would come out with something like this. I'm personally a huge fan, mainly because of how sophisticated and unique the hardware is. If you ever get a chance to go into store and have a look at these, I would highly recommend that you play around with the H hardware, because it's truly one of the most refined mechanisms I've ever seen by Hermes, even though Hermes is a brand that is really, really well known for creating beautiful and custom mechanisms. When you look at this, you will be truly shocked by how fine it is. It almost feels like a really elegant timepiece when you play around with it, just the way the mechanism feels. If you guys would want me to do an in-depth review of this, definitely let me know in the comment section, and I'm happy to review each and every single one of these bags that are part of the synthetic line. But let's get back to this piece. So this is the so-called to-go wallet, which means that this is a wallet and a bag. It should be a 2-in-1, especially because this is the larger wallet. This is not the compact version. So it does come with a removable shoulder strap. But looking at this piece, the scales of the Alligator are just absolutely perfect. So they used matte Mississippi Alligator on this. And I must say that it works so beautifully on this because it just looks absolutely perfect and proportionate when it comes to the sizing of the scale. Not every exotic piece by Hermes is made the same. Obviously, they use different kinds of exotic leathers. They use alligator, different types of croc. They use lizard and ostrich and etc. But when it comes to sort of their alligator and croc pieces, I find that there are certain pieces that look phenomenal in alligator and in croc. Others, not so much, and it really comes down to the size and the shape of the piece because these are natural skins. You can only control the scales to a certain extent, and on some pieces, the scale and the way the proportions work out and the way they are spread out just simply doesn't suit certain pieces. So even if you ever get offered a Birkin or a Kelly in croc or alligator, you want to have a closer look because you might have this idea in your head that it's going to look absolutely symmetrical and perfect, but usually it's not the case because, as I mentioned, these are natural skins and there's only so much control that people have over the way they grow and the way they form over time. And if you look at this particular piece, the scales and the proportions work perfectly with this design. The way the scales are spread out and the way they get larger as they get closer to the center of the piece is just absolutely perfect. It's really a stunning piece and it looks beautiful in exotic skin. Is it worth $17,000? I definitely wouldn't pay that much for this. Okay, what should we do next? Should we move on to... maybe let's do shoes next. And if I would have to guess what piece is going to be most expensive, well, the most expensive piece I've ever seen by Hermes is the iconic jumping boots in matte. I'm not sure if it was croc or alligator. I would assume because it was a larger piece, it was likely probably croc, either freshwater croc or Mississippi alligator. Now, I don't think that they're going to have the jumping boots in exotic skin online, but I would still think that it's either going to be the jumping boots that are most expensive or perhaps one of the new sort of really interesting and creative creations by Pierre Hardy that was inspired by the Shandong design. They have a couple of heels and high heel boots that have this really ornate and unique heel piece to them. I think it might be either one of those, but let's go and have a look. Okay, and let's sort from highest to lowest. And yes, the most expensive pieces are the jumping boots. This was not a hard guess because of how much work and thought and craftsmanship goes into these boots. I expected these to be the most expensive. I have an entire review on Hermes boots full of recommendations and my thoughts and opinions, so I'll make sure to have that linked up here. And I do talk about the jumping boots, which are a quintessential Hermes piece. If you're into what really Hermes is all about, this sort of laid back, casual, effortlessly chic aesthetic that you would associate with the equestrian lifestyle, you're going to absolutely love these boots. They're very, very interesting. Obviously, they pay homage to Hermes' heritage of equestrian pieces, and they were inspired by traditional Hermes jumping boots. But I do think that they are slightly tweaked to fit sort of a more formal lifestyle, and then they have the Kelly twist closure on the side. They come in a bunch of different colors, finishes, and leathers. As I mentioned, I have seen them in exotic skin, but you can also pick them up in more heritage leathers from Hermes, so you have plenty of options when it comes to these. And then let's quickly check out the next pair of boots because all three on top are the exact same design. Obviously, the difference in price is because of the difference in leather. So this one and this one are made of different leathers, and that's what leads to the difference in price. And then the second most expensive design that's currently available is the so-called Absolute ankle boots, which is one that I also talked about in my boots video. So I have that link down below. This is one of Pierre Hardy's most recent creations for Hermes, where he had this entire collection where he was inspired by the Shandong motif, which is one that Hermes is very proud of, and still sort of goes back to as a source of inspiration each season. And he decided to sort of spice up a piece on shoes that most designers don't really think about, which is the heel part. So he created quite a few different shoe designs that were quite nice, simplistic, chic, but let's be honest, boring in the front, but have all the party in the back because they all have these really interesting design details on the back. And on the absolute ankle boots, they look honestly like a piece of art. The way they are constructed is truly refined and just looks like $1,000,000. And now, what should we look at next? So we've already done shoes, small leather goods. We're definitely going to do bags. But before that, should we do maybe jewelry or fashion jewelry? We could definitely do fashion jewelry, maybe leather. And what do you guys think is going to be the most expensive fashion jewelry piece? In my opinion, it's a no-brainer. It has to be one of the CDC pieces. It just depends on what they have available online. So it's either going to be an alligator or croc piece, while the CDC is a smaller piece, so it's most likely in alligator, or lizard if they have lizard available online, or even just in regular leather. Because of that substantial hardware, those pieces tend to be most expensive. But I would definitely say it's one of the CDCs, and I would guess it's exotic, so one of the exotic skins that it comes in. But let's see what's currently available. Oh, they already have the new heritage equestrian pieces online that are inspired by the horse bite, which is really interesting. In case you're into one of the old school saddle leathers, you might want to check this range out, which is relatively new. But let's look at the highest priced. Yep, the most expensive is the CDC in pink. This is just the so-called pink color, I believe. But let's click on it and see. Yep, it's just in the color pink. It's $2,025. Which I guess that this is going to be most expensive. It's for a good reason. Is it worth $2,000? If you don't have a CDC, maybe it is worth it. I do have a matte alligator CDC in my collection, which at this point has gone quite shiny. It's definitely in between lisse and matte at this point, which is perfectly normal for a matte alligator to develop some sort of shine over time. I think it's worth it, but only if you don't have any CDCs in your collection. Obviously, you're going to be paying about double for the exotic skin, but if you love Hermes, if you love the CDC, and if you are a fan of exotic skins, this might be a nice addition to your collection. The next most expensive piece is, again, a CDC, same color, same leather, just with a different hardware finish, or sorry, color, not finish. And then the next most expensive pieces are the CDC 24s in shiny alligator, which I have an entire review on. I compare and review the CDC to the CDC 24, so I'll make sure to have that linked up here. But it seems like they have quite a range of different colors in the CDC and in exotic skin. Absolutely beautiful. This, I think the middle one, this might be a new color. Oh wow, this is in the color of Rose Mexico. So I think this might be one of the first pieces that I have seen in Rose Mexico that's in alligator. Really interesting. I'm glad we discovered this. It's beautiful. So this is one of the newer pinks of Rose Mexico in alligator. Have you guys seen Rose Mexico in exotic skin before? I think this might be my first time seeing it, but it's absolutely stunning. Yeah, so CDC, CDC 24. If you're interested in either one, definitely check out my review. I'll have it linked down below. And then should we move on to maybe check out fine jewelry? I think that's going to be quite a show if we check out fine jewelry. Okay, so the most expensive fine jewelry piece I've ever seen is definitely not going to be online. I'm trying to think what it might be. But that actually gave me a good video idea. Would you guys be interested in me doing a video on the most expensive pieces I've ever seen or I've ever been offered? Definitely let me know in the comment section. And it's not meant to be a video about, bragging about the most expensive pieces I've ever bought. It's just going to be pieces that I have been shown at events and pieces that I have been offered or just even shown. So definitely let me know if you guys would be interested in that. So I'm not going to reveal what was the most expensive fine jewelry piece I've ever seen by Hermes. But what I know for a fact that they usually sell online is their alchemy collection, their alchemy range, which has rings and bracelets in different colors. And the entire alchemy line is based on the idea of Hermes putting a piece of either ring or bracelets in every single one of their designs on top of each other, essentially stacking them and creating these gigantic sort of statement pieces. So I think it might be one of those bracelets because those tend to be quite above $100,000. And I really cannot think of anything else that they would sell online that would be that expensive. Maybe a statement necklace from one one of their old school collections. Could be in pave diamonds, but it's definitely going to be something with white diamonds, probably in white gold. Okay, as this was pulling up, I had to go and grab my charger because my computer was dying. But let's quickly sort it from highest to lowest. And again, I was wrong. The most expensive piece, the one that I assumed is going to be the most expensive, is not even in the top 3, because this was the one that I had in mind, which is the Alchemy piece, which, as I mentioned, is each one of Hermes's most iconic bracelet designs stacked onto one another. But the most expensive piece that they're selling online is actually from the Shandong range, which happens to be one of my personal favorites. And it's their medium chunky choker or chunky necklace. They have a bunch of different width and weights of these necklaces online and in store available as well. But I'm surprised that this would be the most expensive. I was thinking that maybe it's going to be one of these sort of old school designs that would be most expensive. Like the fillet d'or design has been around for a long, long time. It's inspired by the harness making heritage of the brand. But I'm surprised that it would be the Shandong necklace, especially because this is not with white diamonds. It's with black spinels in rose gold. So surprising, but if you like it, it can be yours for $300,000. And I think it's time that we move on to bags. Shall we do it? Let's do it. Let's sort bags from highest to lowest. And the most expensive bag is the Hermes 2002. I did not expect that. I am completely shocked by this, that these would be the most expensive, because I have talked about the 2002 bag, which I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a fan of. This bag was designed originally in 1972, and they named it 2002 because they felt that this design was way too futuristic of the time, which might have been true at the time, 50 years ago at this point. It's definitely not true now. There's nothing futuristic about these bags. The hardware has always reminded me of one of those cartoon superhero sort of logos. It doesn't look futuristic. It doesn't remind me of Hermes. It doesn't look refined. The bag comes in 2 different sizes, in 26 and 20. Neither one is very flattering. They sort of almost look like an old school camera bag, which if you love those, you might enjoy this. But quite honestly, I don't like anything about these bags. And for these to be the most expensive on the Hermes website, that's truly a shame. Okay, and all 3 bags on top are the exact same 2002 bags. The difference is price due to the fact that these are full leather and then this one is canvas. And it's funny because every time I talk about canvas bags from Hermes, I always point out that don't be fooled by the fact that they're made of canvas. With Hermes, canvas bags are usually just as expensive, if not more expensive than leather bags. And again, it's the case here, which I'm not surprised about. But at least it has that beautiful sort of leather trimming on the edges, which is in black and white, which does remind me of a panda bear. So it's a little bit cuter than the rest, but these bags, in my opinion, are really old school and definitely not worth over $10,000. So these are all in size 26, which is the larger size. And then we have a size 20 here with the black enamel hardware. But the only other bag that we have here that comes in at exactly $10,000 is the Double Sans Strap Maxi Bag, which is a newer take on the Double Sans range. And I don't think I've ever talked about this range from Hermes, even though I have been meaning to, because it is a bag that I have sort of a love-hate relationship with. It was the very first Hermes bag that I ever looked at buying for myself. This was maybe 9 years ago, 9 years ago, I would say. And it's quite a funny story because I remember I had a layover. I was flying somewhere and I remember I had a layover in Paris at the Charles de Gaulle airport. And I decided to stop by one of the Hermes boutiques. At the time, I was not really into Hermes. Obviously, I was aware of the brand and I knew quite a bit about it, but I was not really buying Hermes. But I wanted to stop by the store just to kind of check it out. And they happened to have the Double Sans in the smallest size, which is size 36. This bag comes in 3 sizes, 36, 45, and then the maxi, which is 50 centimeters. So they had the Double Sans 36 on display. So I asked if it's for sale. They told me that it is, which is usually the case when you go to an airport store. And so I was like, okay, let's do it. I'm going to buy it. So they took it out for me. I looked at it. And thankfully, I asked about the price because I wasn't going to. I really thought to myself that it cannot be any more than maybe $500-600. Well, I was very shocked when they told me that it was nearly $2,000. Bear in mind, this was years ago. And I really did not expect that. I did not think, even for a second, that this bag could be any more than $500. And it was quite a bit more expensive than that. So I just left it there. I didn't even think about it because it was just kind of ridiculous. I really didn't understand the reasoning, and I still don't, to be honest with you. Because the Double Sans range is this line of very, very, very simple tote bags. And when I say simple, I mean it. There's really nothing to them. It's just basically this. Do you guys know those really simple, sort of free canvas tote bags that you usually get at Merge when you go to the dentist or when you go grocery shopping and you can buy those canvas bags at checkout? That's exactly what they're like, but they're made of leather. And the only thing that's unique about them is the fact that the lining and the exterior of the bag are made of two different colors. And usually those two colors are drastically different. So don't think that you will buy one in two different shades of black or two different shades of, I don't know, gray. Usually the colors are drastically different. So usually like pink and blue, or I don't know, yellow and green. Just so they are very different from one another, because the idea behind them is that they don't have any pockets on the inside. They don't have any sort of division, because technically these bags don't have an inside and an outside, because you should be able to completely reverse them. They are the exact same bag on the inside and the outside. So you can take them, turn them inside out if you want to, and if you want to have a different color to your bag. And that's the whole concept, so you can play around with them, which is something that I do appreciate. But at the same time, the pricing on these bags is absolutely, I mean, it's just ridiculous for what you get, in my opinion. So the smallest size, the 36, is usually around $3,500 depending on the leather. The 45 is usually around $5,000, and then the largest one, the maxi, which comes with a strap, is, as we see it here, is $10,000. And then it also comes in exotic skin, so you can buy usually the 36 or the 45 in matte alligator or matte croc, and those are usually between like $30,000 and $45,000-$50,000 depending on the size. Usually only one of the sides is exotic, and then the other side is just regular leather. So it's an interesting design. It's not one of those bags that I'm against. It's not a bag that I dislike or I don't think it's good looking. I would absolutely buy it if it was, I don't know, if the 36 size would be, I don't know, $1,200, $1,000. Absolutely, I would be first in line to buy it. But for $3,500 or around that price range, it's definitely not a bag that I would recommend for anyone to buy, considering how much time doesn't go into the making of it. It's not one of those bags that has different features and different time-consuming elements. You're essentially paying for the leather, which, as always, is exquisite. It's never something that comes into question. But I don't think it's worth the money. Obviously, it's a bag that you can pick up from the pre-loved market at much better prices. So if I can find any, I'll link it down below. And if I was to buy this bag, that's what I would consider, because it's definitely not one that I would buy in the boutique for thousands and thousands of dollars. But it's not a bag that I hate. As I mentioned, if it was a little bit less expensive, it's definitely a bag that I would have in my collection by now, maybe even in different colors, because it's fun to play around with and it's a really casual, simple and understated bag. The only sort of branding you have is the Hermes Paris, made in France, little 3-line logo that you have on the outside of the bag. So that's pretty much it. And then it has these really simple handles. Sometimes when I said they come in 2 colors, sometimes they actually come in 3 different colors, because obviously the bag has 2 different sides to it. And then in some cases, the handle is a 3rd color, which should be a color that complements both of the colors for the body of the bag. So there are plenty of options when it comes to the Double Sans. And then the newest edition was this one in the maxi size, which is size 50, that comes with a shoulder strap. So the idea is that you have this big tote, but if you find that it's too heavy for you or if it's not full, you can sort of fold it in half and attach a shoulder strap, which I think was a great choice and a great idea for them to do. I just don't understand why it costs $10,000. But this is it, guys. This completes today's video reviewing some of the most expensive pieces on the Hermes website. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was so much fun to film. Please do let me know if you would like me to do a video on the most expensive pieces that I have ever been shown. Not purchased, but shown. And if there are any other brands that you'd want me to do the same video on, I would absolutely love to. And if you enjoyed this video, then please make sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.